Or I guess more of what I mean by that is I feel like we're not a lot of people's number one priority on Saturdays. And I get it. I'm sure Liberty's not the school that you grow up being a fan of, like your Bamas, your Clemsons, Miami's, LSU's, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn, the list goes on. But let me tell you one thing about why caring about Flames football first is important. Group think is something that is invaluable to team sports. The fans, the school, the staff at the school, the students, the coaching staff, the players, the program staff, like facility staff, every single individual involved in this makes a difference. And what I mean by that is the more energy and belief you have bought into something, it's not that it just raises the expectations and the understanding for what you want to achieve. It brings confidence to the entire group. If everybody is on the same page, when you have more power on your side, it makes everybody involved feel more comfortable. Comfort and confidence is inexplicably related to performance, okay? Most of these guys on this level of football are not that much different from the next guy in terms of their skill or athletic ability. What one guy has over the other that separates them is confidence. Okay? Look at a guy like Cam Cook from Jacksonville State. I know I've addressed him already before. Got a lot of snaps at TCU last year. Probably thought in the middle of the year that he was going to come back as the number one guy, but what do you know? He gets an offer to go to Jacksonville State, which you could view as a step down. I'm sure mentally he's thinking, wow, these defenses are going to be way easier for me to shred through. I'm getting money, I'm comfortable now, and look at the season that he's had. It's been comfort, it's been effortless, and he is probably the third best running back in all of college football right now. That's just a fact. Confidence, momentum, and belief are very, very important to football programs specifically, but to the school, to all the athletics, to the relationship that everybody involved with Liberty has, realistically. And especially when we're in a position like we are, where we're kind of on that edge of being, a throwaway school and a legit contender at times. People forget that Liberty is legit. Okay, let me just name you some of the wins that we've had in our short time playing at the FBS level. Okay, Baylor, Syracuse, Virginia Tech, BYU, Arkansas. Okay, not only that, New Mexico State. With guess who at quarterback? Diego Pavia for the Conference USA Championship, which then moved us to play in a New Year's Six Bowl, Fiesta Bowl versus Oregon, where we scored first. Yes, we did lose that game. We got beat up. But we came out with a lot of energy. And that is precisely what I'm talking about. If you can come every Saturday with that energy, if Flames fans are saying, hey, this Saturday at 1 o'clock or this Saturday at 3 o'clock, I'm watching Liberty's game. I'm not tuning into Liberty's game if we're winning, or I'm not tuning into Liberty's game only if we're playing James Madison or Old Dominion. No, every Saturday, I'm watching Liberty football. 7 o'clock, I'll watch the 7 o'clock game. Whatever, yeah, that's fine. But at 3:30, I'm watching Liberty football. I'm clapping for every completion. I'm getting lit on every touchdown, every defensive stop, every pick, every forced fumble. This is important. We will never build culture. We will never, ever, ever build a large enough base of momentum and a large enough group of people who do not despise us because of who we are, if we are not every single Saturday out there representing for not only ourselves, but for the school as well. Okay? Very important things that I felt like I needed to go over here. I guess now we'll kind of mentioning the wins that we had. We'll talk about some of the games that we played this year and the teams that beat us and what their outlook is like. We played both James Madison and Old Dominion this year. Both programs have probably performed better than expected. We knew that, I think everybody knew both of them were going to be great and contenders for the Sun Belt, but I don't think people realized James Madison was going to be in the position they are now this year, where they're looking at a legit potential to be a G5 playoff team. Obviously, Old Dominion, couldn't squeeze that out because they're in the Sun Belt as well with James Madison, but another great program that's had some big wins this year. Probably one of the best quarterbacks in all of college football. Yeah, man, those were supposed to be our games. And what's really crazy to think about is we would be probably in those talks right now if we had done what we were supposed to this year. And that's what's sad, is it's not like, I feel like a lot of people act like we're just this team when we're really not just this team. We are the team. Like we're the team to beat in Group of 5. And everybody knows that except for our fans for some reason, which is quite hilarious. But yeah, man, it's tough. It's tough to see a school like JMU, or Old Dominion having the success that they do, considering their proximity and what it all means for the mountain. But dude, we got to pull something together. There's a lot of Group of 5 schools this year that are starting to show their teeth, and they're starting to make a push. Tulane's always been a big G5 program, but they bring in Retzloff. They're having a lot of success. They're probably the other option, and realistically probably the more likely option for the G5 team. You got North Texas, who has been going absolutely crazy. Memphis, USF, Navy. We are no longer like one of 3 schools who is the G5 contender. There's like 10. And that's only going to make things more difficult for us in this NIL age. And this is back to what I was saying about our fans. We've got to step it up. I'm not saying that everybody needs to start dishing out millions of dollars for us to bring in people, because our culture is what is going to bring in people. It's not money, it's culture. But yeah, until players, fans, the school, the coach, everybody that is a part of the Flames Nation gets that in their head, we will never build the culture that we are seeking to build to be a championship contender, which I know is possible with what we have, the resources we have. Speaking of Pavia and New Mexico State, and kind of not rubbing dirt in our open wound, but isn't it tough to know that with Salter, the performance that we had over New Mexico State, and to see the success that Pavia has now found, and sadly the kind of downturn that Salter has had since going to Colorado. I do wish that we could have retained the guy this year. I completely understood why he wanted to go out there with Prime. I get it. I think anybody does. But it's just so ironic and sad to see. But I mean, I'm not saying it's sad. I love Diego Pavia. I love Vanderbilt football, but it's sad for Flames fans to know what we did versus what has progressed since then. And for people that are on the outside looking in, maybe like recruits, potential transfers and stuff, it's tough. to see that happen and to justify, wow, I want to go here, or wow, I want to go there. It makes things really hard, not only for your program coordinators, but for guys that came in on the team, within the last 2 seasons, to say, dang, like that could be me, and there's been a few guys that have said that this past season, and right before the year started, kind of said, I'm out of here. And look at the success that some of those teams are having now. I wish them all the best, of course, but it's sad to see those things happen. But man, the biggest thing for me this year, the biggest takeaway, I guess, was it's great to see that our rushing game has been able to stay as fierce as it has. It would be a blessing to be able to retain our entire running back room this offseason. I would completely understand why Evan Dickens may seek, elsewhere, but I really, really, really would love for him to stay if he values the culture that, or I say culture like we have any, but if he values the ideas and the belief system that Liberty maintains, then, I hope that he's one of those guys that will push the money aside and stick with his heart, but I completely understand if, that heart and that money is elsewhere, and we can't blame him. We have a really deep quarterback room. We've got a guy from IMG and Jaden Bradford that has not got to see the field this year. I would really like to see him be maintained in this offseason and potentially be a guy that maybe gets to see the field next year. If Vasco doesn't come back, I'm still all in on Vasco. I want him to stay. I want him to be our go-to guy next year. I think he can clean things up as long as he gets help from our coaching staff. And defensively, man, we've got a really, 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 really deep DB room. Our linebacker and defensive line positions have obviously taken some massive hits this year, so we're going to have to, between the portal and injury, so we're going to have to hit that hard, man. We need to hit the weight room hard this offseason. We need to build some camaraderie very bad. There's just not a lot of positive energy on the sideline right now. There's not a lot of guys. And, this is just what you see or what you hear when you're looking at them from the outside in. But it doesn't seem like there's a lot of people that are very convinced right now that this is where they want to be. And I would just love to see the personal relationships and that culture be built this offseason. That way we can actually carry some positive momentum into next season. We were still kind of shaking that bad mojo off from last year. Some weird things happened, and we kind of entered this year with the same crud on us, But, yeah, man, I know this is not over with. This is, this sounds so sad and whatnot, but this is the worst year that Liberty's had in quite some time. So we can't be all too upset with it, but this kind of brings me back to the fans and the expectations of Flames Nation in general. You have to feel this way every year. You have to feel this way every year if you want to be successful, if you want to build that championship culture. You have to constantly have the expectations that we are playing for a championship every single season. And that's where my head's at. And I know that's where the school's head's at. And I'm sure the guys on that football team, even though they're feeling down right now, they went into their college careers thinking they want to be champions, and that's precisely what we're going to do. But we have got to take a step back and look at ourselves and say, oh, okay, how can we all congeal this together better next time? So I'll make one more final video, kind of going over like individual player performance, team performance, what we finished with maybe next week or the week after, but I just really wanted to hit this one today and kind of not call out, but set the precedent for what Flames Nation should be expecting out of themselves. But that's it for today, guys. I hope you guys have a great rest of your week. Lots of exciting things to look forward to for the rest of this year. Obviously, football is basically over with at this point, but that's not all what Liberty is about. And we will still be here for the rest of everything else. And even though we're not feeling that great over this past weekend, dude, it's okay. It's seriously going to be okay. It's just the game. So I appreciate it. I appreciate you guys hanging out. And if you stayed here and listened to everything, then you're a real one and you're part of that culture that is going to be developed. So hope you guys enjoy the rest of your week, and thank you very much.